My friends, how are y'all doing out there today? It is great to see you for yet another video. And today I'm going to talk about sort of how this redneck trucker standing in front of you right now has managed against all odds to not end up as a Trump supporter. And I remember telling you guys I would tell this story a little bit once I hit 100,000 subscribers, and I realized that's kind of arrogant of me, isn't it? Maybe 100,000 people don't like me. And if that's true, because that could be true, it could 100% be true, you guys will never hear the story. And oh my God, what are we going to do then? And I thought, you know what? It's just a good opportunity to kind of explain how, I avoided this. But my friends, I have learned from doing this channel, I am not the outlier that I thought I was. And that's actually good news. Through the course of doing this channel, I have talked to thousands of blue dots all over our country that are out there speaking their mind, standing up for what's right and wrong. And you know what? That's a good thing. I thought that I was the only one out here for a while. So, hey, it's good that the internet exists and we can discuss these things and find like-minded people all over the place. So I think that by telling this story, maybe there's somebody out there from the redneck background that I'm from that kind of caved into the peer pressure of this MAGA movement, and maybe we could get them a little bit of help and encourage them to start doing the right fucking thing in life. So I want to be clear, I have kind of told a little bit of this story before, so this will overlap some things I've talked about before, but we'll try to get it all in one video. We might be here for a while. You guys know how I am. Once I start talking, baby, we go on for a while, don't we? Anyways, yeah, we'll talk about that. That's what we're gonna do. So my friends, I was born into hate. That's the simple way to put this. I was born out in the middle of fucking nowhere, Colorado, and a lot of people think of Colorado as this just mountains and hipster towns and ski resorts, and well, there's a different side of Colorado. Out on the east side of Colorado, it's all flat land, it's all working class people, farmers, not a whole lot of money, shit like that. I was born in Holyoke, Colorado specifically. By the time you watch this video, it probably has way more views than the entire population of that little town in the middle of nowhere. As a matter of fact, I don't even know if it's still considered to be a town. Last time I looked it up, it was called the municipality of Holyoke, so I don't really fucking know. But I was born in this very interesting time in America when the Republican propaganda machine was really taking its foothold on especially rural America, but America in general. I don't know much before that. I don't know what kind of propaganda machines there were, but it was around the time of, Ronald Reagan and trickle-down economics. It was around the time that I believe Fox News started to come in and do their right-wing propaganda spin that they do. And I will never forgive Fox News for the absolute destruction they have caused to rural America through their blatant fucking lies about what is going on in this country. Topic for another day, or maybe topic for later in this video. But anyways, I was born in this small town, my friends, middle of fucking nowhere. And as I started to, become a child and have some consciousness of the world around me, I was often taught that the Mexicans were the problem. And may the YouTube God smile on me on this video, because I'm not saying any of the disturbing shit that I will say in this video for the purpose of being hateful. And there will be some uncomfortable points in this video, my friends. But I was raised up and taught from a very young age that it was the Mexicans that were causing all of my problems in life. The Mexicans were stealing all our jobs. They were taking all the government benefits. They were thieves. They would steal all your shit. They would kill you. They were murderers, every one of them. And that's the kind of way that I was sort of brought up at a young age. And I remember, my friends, when I was very young, I'd say maybe third grade or so, I was just kind of a product of my raising, so to speak, and I was sitting on the school bus, and I just got this brilliant fucking idea. I felt like the world really needed to hear what was on my mind that day. I'm not really sure why. And I got up on my knees of the school bus. I was like third grade, I would say short, but I didn't really get much taller after that, my friends. I'm not a tall man, all right? Anyways, I'm not like 5'2", all right? For anybody thinking that, like I always get mad about that, because because I was too small to play like any like organized sports or anything. Well, maybe like baseball or something, but I really liked football. But I was too small to play that. But I was way too goddamn big to be a horse jockey, my friends. Like, I was caught in the middle, and I like all that was left was like shitty sports that no one cares about, right? Like, I didn't want to play golf or tennis or anything like that. So I couldn't be I couldn't race horses, and I couldn't play football, and that kind of fucking ruined my life. Just kidding. But anyways, back to the point. One day I had this brilliant idea that everybody needed to hear what was on my mind, and I sat up on my knees on the school bus while we were rolling down the road, and I started loudly declaring to the entire school bus, "I hate Mexicans." I was sitting next to my friend Jaime at the time, and I looked down at him and I said, "Not you, you're one of the cool ones," because in my feeble little brainwashed child brain, I thought that was a perfectly acceptable thing to say. As a matter of fact, what I was looking for, I believe, was acceptance. I was looking for people to be like, "Hell yeah, this dude right here, he fucking gets it," right? So I'm loudly, over and over, my friends repeatedly declaring on the bus, after I told Jaime he's one of the cool ones, right? I hate Mexicans. Well, there was a big son of a bitch that rode that bus, my friends. It was like, I went to a very small school, so everybody that went to school, elementary, junior high, high school, all rode the same damn bus. And there was this big motherfucker that rode that bus, must have been junior, senior in high school. Her name was Delia, and she was a big motherfucker, and she starts yelling at me, and she goes, "What the fuck did you just say?" And I proudly went, "I said I hate Mexicans." And she goes, "You better sit your fucking ass down right now." And if Delia would have gotten really pissed, there was not a motherfucker on that bus that could have stopped her from kicking the ever-loving shit out of me, my friends. And when I sat down and turned around, I could hear her still. She was in the back of the bus, still talking to me. She says, "I want you to think about what the fuck you just said." And that wasn't the changing point in my life where I went, "Oh God, I denounce all this shit, and I think that, fuck it." But it did cause me to think for a minute. I was sitting there thinking, as a third grade child, all the things that had been kicked into my head about how the Mexicans were truly evil people that were here in America just to ruin my fucking life. I sat there thinking, like, God, what did I say wrong? That's the right thing to say. That's what is going on. So why wouldn't I fucking say that thing? And it kind of started to click in my brain a little bit. Maybe that's not the right thing to say. I don't really fucking know. But why would my family lead me astray? Why would they tell me something that isn't true and put me in a position where big old Delia could kick the shit out of me? They wouldn't do that to me. Now would they? Now would they? And then as I got a little bit older, one of my family members got injured at work, which is a very, very common thing in rural blue-collar America. Getting injured at work and potentially being crippled or out of work for the rest of your life and relying on disability is a very real fucking thing. These are back-breaking jobs that pay very shitty wages and 100% take advantage of the employees out there. And one of my family members took a very devastating injury and caused them to be out of work for a very long time. And they did exactly what many rural Americans do when they get injured at work. They're fucking frustrated. They feel hopeless because their company's not helping them. They're constantly going back and forth with lawyers and judges and all kinds of shit, and they get fucked over and over and over. And that family member started listening to Rush Limbaugh, fell down that rabbit hole. And that's what happens in rural America, or what used to happen. I don't know what happens anymore. I'm always out on the road somewhere, kind of minding my business. But that's what used to happen. A guy would get hurt at work. He would have nothing but time freaking the fuck out about how he was going to pay the bills. And in comes Rush Limbaugh every time. And it is my belief, my friends, that Rush Limbaugh was 100% running a protection racket for I don't know if we had billionaires at that time in the country, but definitely for the mega wealthy of America, the people that were taking advantage of the working class Americans. And Rush Limbaugh was somehow reaching these people, these rural blue collar Americans that were taught, that were having problems in their life. And Rush Limbaugh would sit there every day and preach about how the certain group of people was causing them their problems. And they were the villains. They were the people that were causing everything to go wrong in America. The problem was Rush Limbaugh was blaming the wrong fucking group. He was blaming the Mexicans. He was blaming the black people. He was blaming the gay people. Cities. Oh, cities, man. That's like a huge target for this right-wing conspiracy theory. This right-wing spin is what I meant to say, because they got people out in the country so goddamn scared of the city. They fucking they freak the fuck out, is what I'm trying to say. But like I said, it's my opinion that Rush Limbaugh was 100% selling out the American people, running a protection racket, making sure that the wealthy in America did not get the blame for the bullshit they were doing, and he was putting the blame on other people that had absolutely nothing to do with it. And this family member of mine fell deep down that fucking rabbit hole, was nothing but fucking hatred for everyone that wasn't a white man in America. Just nothing but fucking hatred. And they would tell me about how they would go to their hearings, because they obviously were going back and forth with their employer to try to get compensation for the possible career-ending injury that they had taken. And that person has never been the same since then, obviously. It was bad. It was bad. But they would also go try to get on government benefits. They were, you know, the food stamps, the welfare check, the disability, the unemployment, all that stuff. And this person, I do not know their finances. I have no idea. But they swore up and down that they were constantly rejected from all of those programs. That every time they'd go in for one of these hearings, they were rejected. And I don't know that to be true or not true. But they would always follow that up with saying, and then the fucking Mexicans come in, and they go in there, they meet with the judge, and the judge gives them everything they fucking want. They walk out of there with fucking $10,000 a month in welfare. They walk out of there with $5,000 a month in food stamps. But the problem is, the person that was telling me all those things had no way of knowing that. They did not verify that. They did not see it happen in front of their own eyes. They were just blaming who they were told to blame by Rush Limbaugh, right-wing media, all those things. And you don't get to sit in on those meetings. You don't get to sit in on those hearings when somebody else is going to them. You don't get to find out what other benefits other people are fucking receiving. So I remember one day challenging that person, say, how do you know this? How do you know that that's actually what happens? Well, every time they walk out of the fucking courtroom, they're smiling. That's it. How do you know that this is true? And what we know now, if you actually look at the data, you can choose to be an ignorant fuck in this day and age if you want. But what we do know now is rural white Americans are the biggest recipients of government benefits. And that is why it's like mind-boggling when you see fucking a bunch of people line up to vote Republican saying, we want people off the fucking benefits. Then get off the benefits, stupid. The fuck are you doing? Why are you fucking blaming everyone else? But the reason for that entire setup was to explain that I was raised that it was everyone else's fucking fault. Everyone else was the problem. It's never me. It's always someone else. And that's just sort of the way it is. And unfortunately, the someone else that it was always some sort of minority group that was an easy target because the media made it okay to fucking hate on that group of people. And I believed that to be actually true, my friends, when I don't believe, I don't know if I said that right, I believed, past tense, that to actually be a true thing when I was a young man. But as I watched that person spiral more and more out of control, it started to become apparent to me in my early teenage years that maybe they were just full of shit. Because no matter what went wrong in their life, I never watched this person take any accountability whatsoever. They never stopped and said, maybe I could have done that better. Here's where I fucked up. Any fucking thing at all. It was always someone else's fault. And that's maybe when it started to click in my head a little bit, my friends, that like, why does this person take no responsibility for anything at all? Fucking at all. Just blame everyone else. And that's kind of what the MAGA movement is. Not kind of what the MAGA movement is. The MAGA movement, this day, this very moment, is a group of people that refuse to figure out like what they can do to improve their life. And let me try to clear that up. America is stacked against the working class. It 100% is stacked against working class Americans. But we're blaming the wrong fucking people. We're blaming, any group we can think of besides the greedy ass billionaires that are fucking the living shit out of us right now. I don't mean we are blaming them, but the MAGA movement definitely is blaming the wrong fucking people. And that's the most frustrating thing about this entire thing. At least if you're going to be angry at the person causing you your fucking problem. Is that too much to ask? But anyways, I remember moving to what I considered to be the big city. I'll tell you what the big city was in just a minute. For anyone from Colorado, you might actually laugh at this when I tell you. But like I said, I was born out there in Holyoke. Through my younger years, I lived out in a very, very small town, southeast Colorado, way down in the corner, right there by, you know, the Oklahoma Panhandle, Kansas. It's called Walsh, Colorado, way out in the fucking middle of nowhere, okay? That's where I kind of spent my early childhood years, the ones that I sort of remember the most. No stoplights, fucking everybody in town knew everybody, and all that shit. You guys know how it goes. But one summer we moved. It was time to move to the city, my friends, and we moved to Brighton, Colorado. And yeah, that was the big city. It's kind of, now it's gotten a lot bigger. This is just sort of an inside joke for me and my Colorado friends, I guess, right at the moment. It's a lot bigger than it used to be, but it was a very small town. It was outside of Denver. Now it's basically connected to Denver through all the suburbs and shopping malls and all that shit. It's just a suburb of Denver at this point, but it used to be out there. And to me, that was the biggest goddamn city I'd ever seen, my friends. And I was terrified of that fucking city. I was scared. It was part of the right-wing propaganda at work still, because all we knew from the country is that the cities were a very dangerous place and bad things happen to people if they go to the cities. And I remember, and I still talk to people like that to this day here on this channel, people out there in the country that are on our side of the political spectrum. Is that the fucking word I'm looking for? That are terrified of cities because they believe that that this is where all kinds of crazy shit goes on. See, I'll skip a little head in the story. I'll get back to Brighton in a minute. But me now, I kind of live pretty fearlessly. I've traveled the whole fucking country. I've been drunk in downtown Chicago or any number of other fucking cities. But I've also taken a walk in Gary, Indiana. Yeah, for those that know, that's the scariest shit you ever heard right there. I have walked the streets of Gary, Indiana, and I am not fucking dead, my friends. So I kind of live a little bit fearless these days because no one's killed me yet. So what's the worst that can happen? But I remember that I was told that this town of Brighton, Colorado, was just packed full of gang members, right? And I'm all of 4 feet tall going into the 6th grade, if even that fucking tall, right? And fucking terrified. I remember meeting my teacher the day before school. They had like an open house at the school or whatever, and I'm standing up against the wall looking like a fucking crackhead, fucking shaking, shivering, fucking whatever the hell you call it, because I was absolutely terrified. And the same person that had spent my life, my early childhood life, telling me that the Mexicans were all these evil fucking things, had told me that once we go to this city, you need to be aware that this thing is packed full of gangs. You even look at a motherfucker the wrong way and they're gonna shoot your ass dead right there in the school. And I was like, fuck, I'm kind of a weirdo, my friends. I'm kind of socially awkward. I don't know if you guys have picked up on that, but sometimes I stare at people just for a little too long, and I'm like, I don't know, like I glance over at someone and then like I start thinking about something and I'll just be staring at that fucking person and like I'm not even really looking at them. I'm just kind of thinking about shit. I'm daydreaming while staring right at them. But yeah, I'm kind of a weird fucker sometimes, my friends. And I was fucking terrified. I was like, my God, why would this person send me to a school where I'm gonna get murdered by gangs? What the fuck is going to happen to me? I don't fucking understand it. Long story short with that, I never got murdered by a gang. It just never fucking happened. Never, ever happened. But I do want to sort of bring up a point here at this part. And I'm only going to tell you this, my friends, for the good news, for the good that came out of it, that I'll eventually tell you at some point in this video if I fucking remember. But I have been bullied my entire life. Like I said, don't cry for me. It's okay. I'm fine. Because I am somewhat an undersized person, I'm not very big. And the way that bullies work is they will never ever step to somebody that is going to offer them any kind of challenge, right? That would be a real fucking problem, because bullies generally aren't as tough as they fucking think they are. are. So they always find the person that they consider to be the easiest target, somebody that's going to give them the least amount of resistance, someone that they can kind of keep under their thumb at all fucking times. And I was constantly bullied in that school, just fucking nonstop every fucking day. And I want to be clear, I did do my fair share of bullying other people also. Hey, I was a kid and I was trying to earn my clout also, trying to earn my place in the hierarchy, I guess, in school. And sometimes I did also seek out somebody that I could bully. And I don't feel good about it. I wish I could go back and say sorry to all of those people, because all I was trying to do was be accepted by the people that were fucking with me every day. And the only way I understood it in my brain was if I just fuck with someone else, then maybe they'll know I'm not to be fucked with. And that bullying is a vicious fucking cycle, isn't it? Let me get a little nicotine, my friends. Anyways, I bring up the bullying thing for a very specific reason. And I have to remember to talk about it because there is a lot of good that comes out of that through this story. So anyways, I kind of went through my teenage years kind of believing all the shit that was kicked into my head when I was a young lad, my friends. I remember being a teenager. I told you there'd be some uncomfortable things in this video. That's just kind of things we have to face if we're gonna have the fucking conversation. I remember when I got around the age where I started having friends with cars, and we would go cruise around in the car, and we would drive by fields where there would be Mexicans working in the field. And of course, we'd all be hanging out the window shouting La Migra at the fucking Mexicans that were working out there, because we thought it was funny to fuck with them while they were out there providing for us, my friends. Think about that for a minute. We were taught these people were so bad that while they worked their ass off in a hot field, making sure that our spoiled asses got food, we had the fucking nerve to drive by them and shout at them about immigration. Yeah, I don't feel good about that either, my friends. It's not one of the things in my life that I look back on fondly. Yes, I fucking was born in a racist environment. I was only doing what I was taught, what I thought was the right thing. And then, my friends, we'll fast forward just a little bit. I got older, I met a girl, I fell in love. My life's full of tragic love stories, my friends. God damn it, I gotta stop doing that shit, right? Anyways, met a girl and fell in love, and we actually had a kid together years and years ago at this point. And one day, her parents had moved to New Mexico, and we stayed back in Colorado for a while, and then eventually she wanted to move to New Mexico also, and I kind of was just along for the ride at that point. Well, I guess I gotta go to New Mexico. I don't really have a choice. And I had never ever been far from my home in my life, my friends. Not fucking once had I ever been that far from my fucking home. So let me tell you, it was quite the emotional roller coaster getting in my car with just enough gas money to get to New Mexico. No fucking plan if the car breaks down, right? No job waiting for me when I got there, fucking nothing. And that's kind of still how I live my life, if I'm being honest with you guys. Just kind of fly by the seat of my pants and hope that everything works out. It's fun. At least it's not fucking boring. That's the same shit I do now. Promise you that. Anyways, I had moved down to New Mexico, got me a job at a Walmart. It had just opened up. I was there when the store opened and all that shit. And I was there just all by myself. I didn't have family. I didn't have friends. Didn't have fucking nothing. And it was an interesting time for me, my friends, because this is when everything started to sort of unravel in my brain, that all the things I had been taught growing up were bullshit. This is where it really started to happen. For one, I was always broke as shit. I could barely afford to fucking feed myself. I had to either keep gas in the car so I could go to work or eat, and those were kind of my fucking choices. And for a while, I wanted to lean on the things that I was taught growing up, was to sit around and bitch and blame everyone else. Well, I did that all by my fucking self because there was no one to bitch to. And what I had realized after a while of sitting there sulking in my sorrow, fucking blaming everyone else for my problems, I realized that nothing was getting fixed. Nothing was fucking happening. And it started to click in my brain that maybe I need to start figuring shit out. Maybe the approach of blaming everyone else for what's going on isn't the fucking right way to handle all of this shit. So I'm doing my best down there in New Mexico, just kind of trying to survive, just trying to get by. And there was a sweet lady that noticed at the Walmart every night. We worked the overnight shift. She noticed that I sat there and I smoked my cigarettes, and I didn't ever eat any food because, like, I had the choice. Do I want cigarettes or do I want to eat? And you know what, my friends, you know me. I chose nicotine, god damn it. That's what I wanted. I wanted my fucking nicotine. And that's back when cigarettes were like $2 or $3 a pack. Yeah, I don't even know what they cost now, like $35 a pack. I don't fucking know. But this very, very sweet lady, who always packed way too much food, she started coming over to me and saying, here, I got this extra, would you like some? And if I would say no, she'd say, too bad, you're eating. And she would make me a plate of whatever she had. And I don't know if she was Native American or Mexican. I'm not really sure. I never thought to ask. But she started making sure that every day I got something to eat. Now, I want to be clear here, all right? It wasn't that somebody was taking care of me that didn't even know me while I was broke as shit and they happened to be Mexican that I changed my entire worldview, because that would be kind of a silly way to fucking explain it, wouldn't it? So let me finish that story, I guess. Let me finish that story. She started bringing me food every day. Then she started inviting me to like family gatherings, you know, with her family. And I would go over there, and I still don't know necessarily if they were Mexican specifically or Native American. It was one of those things that just never came up. I never thought to ask. There's a lot of similarities there, of course there are. But they started inviting me over. I was invited to family gatherings, holidays, all kinds of things. They always made sure I was well fed and everything. But what had actually happened was I got to witness from the inside this very, very group of people that I was told were monsters. That I was told they were absolutely terrible people and they were going to fucking kill me, while my family was nowhere to be found. Some of the very people that told me how awful these fuckers were nowhere to be found, while these fuckers were taking care of me, while they were making sure that I was okay. And it was seeing their sense of community and their sense of family, which is not something you really see in rural white families. Like, we don't give a fuck. We throw our own under the bus any chance we get, just so we can feel better about ourselves. You don't fuck up in a rural white family even a little bit, because you're going to be the talk of the family for a while. We're never going to let you live that shit down. Make one mistake, you're a fucking loser for life. And I don't know that to be true for all rural white families, but I know it to be true for mine, my friends. Don't fuck up, because fuck you, you're done. You're done. But I saw how they accepted each other's flaws. They fucking were always there for each other. They always, how can I help? What do you need? Well, just this sense of community and family that I'd never seen before. And they grabbed my little white ass and made me a part of the family. Can you fucking believe that? And it wasn't the part where they were making sure I was fed and where they were taking care of me. Of course I loved every bit of that. I needed it. I was fucking, my friends, I'm 5'6". I'm not a tall guy, right? I'm getting a little chubbier these days, but I mean, I've been working out too. Don't worry. Don't you fucking worry. About 170 pounds right now, all right? Back then, I couldn't even break 100. Skin and bones, baby. Just fucking ribs everywhere. I was fucking starving, right? But it was the life-changing event of the very people that I was taught were evil were fucking not. They just fucking weren't. And it was then that things really, really started to click in my head. I started to really feel remorse for all the things that I fucking said about people. I started to feel bad that I believed that this group of people were evil. I will never forgive myself for telling my friend Jaime that he was one of the good ones. That's one of the stupidest fucking things I could have ever said. I wish I could go back and find big old Delia and tell her I'm fucking sorry for the shit that came out of my fucking mouth, because nobody should be judged because they fucking happen to be a different race or different anything. Fucking anything. And look, we all do it. I mean, we all fucking sometimes have our fucking moments of weakness where we fucking say some shit we probably shouldn't have fucking said, right? We're all fucking human. But actively looking to hate is crazy, is absolutely crazy. And then I started trying to get into politics about that time. I was maybe 22, 23 at that time. And I'm like, man, maybe I should start paying attention to politics. That was around the time of George W. Bush at that time. I think he was already in office. Yeah, he was already in office for sure. And I started listening to political radio there in Albuquerque. And it was right-wing, because right-wing political media is so easily acceptable. Accessible is the word I was looking for. Not acceptable, it's fucking repulsive. Accessible. You can find that shit anywhere. And as I was starting, I only listened for like 3 days. And it was just absolute nonsense. More of the blaming every fucking buddy else for what the fuck is going on. More and more of that shit. And no initiative, no trying to figure anything out. Now, I get a bunch of MAGA dorks that get pissed off at me when I call it the laziest political movement in fucking history, because it truly fucking is. It is a fucking whiny bitch political movement of people that whine and cry and blame everyone else for their fucking problems. And I say, have you ever considered working for what you want? And then they say, well, I put in 60 hours a week, that ain't working. I'm not talking about that. That's you once again bootlicking the billionaires and going, I show up to work, what more do you want from me? Fucking, I mean, we're going after your dreams and your goals and your hopes and anything like that. Being okay with failing at shit. You know, like, I see nobody ever try. I remember I worked with a white guy down there at that Walmart in New Mexico that worked for Walmart for fucking years. And he would always bitch about the certain people getting promoted, and he never got promoted for anything. And I asked him one day, I said, have you applied for any promotions? And he goes, no, I don't want that kind of responsibility. Wait a minute, you don't want to take on any extra responsibility in your life, so you don't want to improve your situation, but you're pissed off that that person over there with ambition that happens to be a different race than you is fucking getting promoted into a promotion that you don't even want because you're too fucking lazy to go through with what the fuck you want in your life. It doesn't fucking make sense. And me, my friends, I mean, if I want to get a little bit personal, I have failed over and over and over in life with very few successes, very fucking few. I attempted to be a musician when I was younger. I didn't try real hard. I fucking sucked at that. I have had multiple YouTube channels over the years. Some failed, some succeeded. And I have failed many, many times in trucking, in different trucking endeavors. I've had the absolute shit kicked out of me in life, and I can only point to a few victories along the way. But every one of those ass kickings, every one of those losses was fucking instrumental. It was important. It had to happen. I had to go through it to know how the fuck it feels. Right? And that's what I feel like a lot of the whole MAGA movement is missing. That fighting fucking spirit, right? That fighting spirit to fucking get out there and fucking go for what you want. Don't sit here and make excuses. Don't blame the Mexican. Fucking go after it. And that's what I mean by fucking lazy. They're anti-education, everything. Anti-motivation, anti-inspiration, like fucking Jesus fucking Christ. They just want to sit there and bitch about what everyone else is doing. But then to skip past all that New Mexico stuff, I'll try to wrap this up soon. I'm not really sure. We'll see where we end up at. But I went off and did some sort of white-collar IT stuff for a while, which was kind of cool. Did that for quite a few years. And eventually I got back into the blue-collar world when I got my CDL and started driving a truck. And that was right around the time that Donald Trump was running for office, when he was running for in his first term. And I was alarmed, of course. What I noticed, I've talked about this a bit before too, but what I've noticed is there was a change. There was a shift that happened, and I refused to go along with it. I didn't go with everyone else. But there was a time in rural America where we didn't want to hear a fucking thing from a rich kid from New York tell us about our fucking lifestyle and what he wanted for us or anything like that. The minute these rich assholes, these spoiled brats started talking to us about our lifestyle, we tuned them the fuck out. And then Donald Trump comes on the scene, and we didn't do that with him. At first we did. At first nobody wanted to fucking hear from Donald Trump. We didn't want nothing to do with him. As a matter of fact, from what I could tell, my observations at the very beginning were that rural America was very much opposed to Donald Trump. Very, very beginning of that first campaign. It was when all the clips started to get out, all the the clips that the media were using of Donald Trump's speeches, that the shift happened, and people started doing stupid shit, basically, for lack of a better term. And it was the Mexicans are they're not sending their best, they're sending their murderers, their rapists, their drug dealers, all those things. And that's when everything kind of went to hell, my friends, when I went, oh, fuck. When I started hearing those clips, I went, son of a bitch. he's got these rural motherfuckers right where he wants them when he does this shit. And like I had brought up earlier in the video, the bullying thing, it is my belief 100% that the MAGA movement spreads through bullying and intimidation and things like that. Because I remember watching as nobody gave a fuck about no goddamn Donald Trump. We don't want to hear from that motherfucker. Till one day, the biggest, dumbest motherfucker that worked with us started coming in, you know, he was already buying Trump gear, coming in, fuck yeah, Donald Trump, fucking Donald Trump. And slowly over time, everybody on the crew I worked with started to be pro Donald Trump. Now, I never was. I never fucking went that way. But they started to love Donald Trump, right? And the reason I brought up like the bullying and all that shit earlier was because there was some good that came out of it. I have been fucked with my entire life, my friends, by people. And there was a time in my life that I was absolutely terrified of all the things that they were going to do to me if I didn't just fall in line, if I didn't do what I was told. And boy, did I try back in school. God, I wanted so bad to be fucking accepted by everybody. God, won't you please be my friend? What shoes do I need to wear? What clothes do I need to wear? How do I need to talk? How do I need to walk? Please, somebody dictate to me how the fuck I'm supposed to do this, which is the MAGA movement now. At this current point, it is a bunch of people that need to be told by one man how they think, how they feel, what they wear. They wear Trump gear, my friends, and everything. They need their entire life dictated by one person, or they just don't fucking want it. But I went through that phase a long time ago. And what happened was, no matter what I did, it was never fucking good enough. I would get fucked with constantly, even for doing the thing they told me yesterday was the thing I should be doing. They were making fun of me for not doing or doing that thing. And when I would fall in line, it never stopped it from happening. It never stopped any fucking bit of it, right? So eventually I learned that, and it took me a while, my friends. It took me till my late 30s, early 40s. I'm still early 40s. Can you believe it? But late 30s, early 40s for me to go, oh my God, these guys aren't doing it because there's something wrong with me. They're doing it because, for one, I appear to be an easy target. For two, it feels good to them to have someone under their thumb that they can control and tell what to do and tell what to think and how to act and what to say and all these things. And if you fall in line with them, then it just gives them a little bit of an ego boost. Look at how powerful I am. But what I learned, of all the threats, my friends, of all the times I've been told I'm going to have my ass kicked or somebody's going to do something very bad to me if I don't do what the fuck they tell me, none of it ever happened. Yeah. The bullying was a good thing. It turned me into my own fucking man. And the fuck are you gonna do about it? Not a goddamn thing. Not a goddamn thing. Threaten me some more? Is that what we're gonna fucking do? And it is my belief, my friends. Look, the bullying turned me into the man I am today. I stand here in a truck stop parking lot right now where I get told every day if I step outside this truck, I'm gonna get the shit beat out of me. And I stand here making this video. Come kick my ass. Nobody's going to kick my ass. It's all bullshit. It's all bluster. It's all to hold you under control. And the reason it's so effective in the MAGA movement, my friends, is because a lot of these guys are like people that never had to face that in their lives. They were always like normal or even oversized people, right? Like normal sized people or bigger people, where they'd never ever faced this kind of intimidation and bullying in their lives. And I'm watching as they just fall in line, my friends. Look, the guy that stands 6'2" and he's 200, 250 pounds, he's never been told in his life to fall in line. He don't know how to respond to it. And that's exactly what this MAGA movement is. A bunch of people that never went through it in life. A bunch of people that fucking have spent their whole lives blaming everyone else for their problems. They've been the bullies this entire time. They've been the aggressors this entire time. And now that they're told to get the fuck in line and think what you're told to think, they go, yes, sir. Absolutely. 100%. And it was all these same people that tried to get my ass in line, my friends, tried to make me think the way they think, tried to make me do what they do. They're the reason I stand here today, and I can say whatever the fuck I want, because what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do about it? Nothing. All the threats, all the intimidation, all the things used to shut me the fuck up years ago, didn't work. But that's the problem, is it does work on a lot of MAGA people. They're intimidated, they're scared, they're afraid to get out of line, and I understand it. The reason I'm bringing you this video is because if you're in that position out there, follow. like my example. Don't follow me. I'm not trying to start a cult here, okay? That's not what I meant to say. But pay attention. Look, all of it is done to keep your ass in line. While you guys, while MAGA somehow claims to be fighting the system, they are the system. They are the fucking bootlickers of the billionaires in this fucking country that are doing what they're told, that are giving up their own rights, their own benefits, everything, just to be fucking told what to do all the time. It's fucking pathetic. All the threats, all the intimidation, all of that does absolutely nothing. It's not real. It's meant to keep your ass in line. Now, do you want to be in line? I don't know if you do. And let me touch on trucking real quick. I guess we're going to go an hour today. I'm not really sure. The trucking industry is I didn't know what word I was looking for, and it really fucking threw me off. I'm sorry. It's full of a bunch of people that are so out of touch with reality, with what they actually do for a living. A lot of truckers live in a fucking fantasy land, my friend. I have been calling out truck driver bullshit for fucking years. I will give you some examples. It is widely speculated in trucking that you cannot drive an automatic semi-truck on mountains because you lose all control of your truck. Most semi-trucks are automatics these days. The thing that people leave out is that semi-trucks are actually much safer on mountains when they are automatic, because you never have the risk of the driver losing his gear and not being able to get it back in gear. Then you don't have a truck in free fall about to smash you and your family at the bottom of that fucking mountain. If you can't control a truck on a mountain, it's not the truck's fault. It's time for you to hand in your CDL, right? You can't control an automatic truck. You can't fucking do it. It can't be done. And I'll give you another example. Truck drivers have been railing for years against the electronic logging devices because they used to run paper logs where they would run multiple logs in their truck so they would never have to sleep and they could keep running nonstop. And they are 100% convinced that they made more money when they had paper logs, and the government fucked them out of all their money by making them run electronic logging devices. But what actually happened, because I was there, my friends, when it happened, when we got the electronic logging devices put in the trucks and we had to follow them, it took all the artificial capacity out of the market. All the truckers that were running illegally were fucking themselves and substantially dropping their own wages. Back then, trucking companies paid you like 27, 28 cents a mile. And then fucking once we took all that artificial capacity out and we were allowed to fucking sleep and get a little bit of rest, sit back here and play some PlayStation if you want, because we got a little time to kill, our wages jumped by more than double. Companies were paying 50, 60 cents a mile to come out here and do this. Now, it's a whole different ballgame on the owner-operator side. But what I'm telling you is there is a lot of truck drivers that don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And they just make shit up. And for me to be a truck driver that does this shit too, well, that does this kind of video, yeah, that kind of speaks to all that bullying shit once again now, doesn't it? Because you go into these truck stops and they're jam-packed full of Fox News shitheads sitting around in MAGA hats talking about how Joe Biden ruined their fucking life. Meanwhile, under Joe Biden, they weren't like they weren't going broke. They went broke under Donald Trump when he failed to manage COVID. But why not blame fucking Joe Biden? Because none of them want to break rank. None of them want to think for themselves. They want to be told by other men what they fucking think about everything. They want to. And trucking's a weird place. Like I tell you guys, I get told every day, I'll catch you on that fuel island, I'm gonna kick your ass. And fuel island's what they call the diesel pumps, because everything needs a cool name when you live in a fucking fantasy land. I once saw a truck driver, I was passing him on the road, and he works for this company that lets you lease a truck from him. You lease a truck from him, and you can put your company name on the side of it, right? And he put all proud on the side of his truck, big old words, outlaw trucking. Outlaw trucking, it said. And it said outlaw trucking. Meanwhile, his IFTA stickers were in place. His DOT and MC numbers were proudly displayed on the side of his truck. His license plate was attached. You could see he was running an electronic log in his truck, and his permit book up here was probably all in order. And to a lot of these fuckers, outlaw is doing it by the books, apparently, because that guy was doing everything right while he was claiming to be a fucking outlaw. I talked to a guy just a couple fucking weeks ago that has been driving for 25 years, and I want you guys to do a little bit of math with me. It's the year 2025, I think, or is it 26? 2025. I don't fucking know anymore. But if he's been driving for 25 years, then the year was 2000 where he started driving. And he started bitching about how driving drivers don't do shit like they used to anymore. The drivers aren't fucking old school anymore. You guys are a bunch of fucking pussies. We used to do shit. He said, I remember back when we crashed the gate doing 98, and you truckers don't do that anymore. You know what that guy was talking about? Let me spell it out for you in case you don't. I'll let you in on the joke here a little bit. Crash the gate doing 98 was from the movie, I believe, Convoy, which came out in the fucking 70s. These are people out here that believe Smokey and the Bandit was a documentary, my friends. They have no idea that it was just a movie for fucking entertainment. And what I'm trying to tell you is I work with a lot of very delusional people. They do not understand the reality of the world around them whatsoever, and they think they're outlaw truckers that are crashing the gate doing 98, and they're doing none of that, but they're fully convinced that they are. And if that gives you any indication about how they might buy into Donald Trump's bullshit, well, it's because they buy into their own bullshit. You ever sit around a truck stop bar while these guys tell stories about the hardest dock they ever backed into? My God, I listened to one time where a guy was saying that he had to back across the interstate in California to get to the dock that he needed, because that makes sense, right? They put receiving warehouses right up against the fucking interstate, where the only way for a truck driver to get in there is to back across the interstate, and all traffic has to be shut down. And they had to call in the fucking National Guard for that guy so that he could get backed up because the traffic wouldn't stop for him. None of that fucking happened. None of it's real. So if you're asking me to wrap this up finally, how I became a truck driver that is anti-Trump, that is standing up for what's right and wrong in this fucking country, well, it's because I like to live in fucking reality. That's why. How's that for the end of a video? Gotta go. Love you guys. Bye now.